Welcome back to CryptosRus. I'm George. We're all George. So, Bitcoin has hit a 4-year low with this metric. What does that mean? Is this a scary thing or not? Let's talk about it. And let's talk about everything else that's going on in the world today. Let's do this. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully you guys are doing good. A lot of people still talking about this drama that happened this morning, right? Or over the weekend. I'm not going to share too much about it. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. But I do want to jump in. You can see overall today, not a whole lot of movement, right? But there was some scary moments. I don't know. There were a lot, actually. Not just one moment, but there were a lot of scary moments. Coming out this morning, when in regards to China. I mean, there's a lot of data that's coming out of China, scaring the global market right now. Everyone is scared. You know, I saw this article, and, you know, it's just talking about how bad it is in China. Like, imports coming from China and Asia is falling like a rock, right? Commodity prices have fallen. Even tourism has fallen to a rock, okay? I mean, that's a huge spike. Obviously, no one wanted to go to China, you know, during COVID time for obvious reasons. But yeah, it's just really bad. So everyone is worried about China around. This is like the new thing. Evergrande obviously fell down like 90% today. Are they going to go bankrupt? Is China going to save them, right? Now there's talks about like a major stimulus that needs to be done. Right? There's just a whole lot of stuff coming out of China. Also, this morning I reported they're reducing tax on stock trading by 50%, right? So there's definitely a lot of scare. But, you know, the good thing is it did not affect Bitcoin much, right? And something else that came out of China today is this, the very first crypto trading program or platform or exchange was launched today, right? So even though we didn't see a big boost from this could be huge going forward, especially if China's economy keeps going down, right? You know, those rich people want to get their money out. What better way than to buy Bitcoin, right? Right now, China is very strict with how much you can buy, how much assets overseas you could buy, right? Basically, they're locking in people's assets, right? But now, if they buy Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever else they buy, they can now move their money out of the country, because once someone has Bitcoin, all they need is a wallet and they could transfer anywhere in the world, right? So I think there's bigger implications here, okay? Besides, yes, millions and millions and millions of people coming in and buying Bitcoin, especially during a bull run, this is going to be very important. But now, also, with the kind of like the scariness out of China, you know, this could drive a lot more people to Bitcoin too. So today is the very first day of crypto trading for retail investors. There's only this one exchange called Hashkey, but there's 80 other plus that are waiting to launch in Hong Kong. So this is going to be very, very good, I believe. Right, so I want to start off with that, but also how this relates to this 4-year low metric. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about this. Bitcoin's trading volume is at its lowest in more than 4 years. Not the price. The price is not lowest in 4 years. The trading volume is so low, going all the way back to 2019, okay? Now, what happened in 2019? 2019 was the bottom of the last cycle, right? Actually, it was like right around 2018, end of 2018, beginning of 2019. That was when Bitcoin fell to $3,100, right? And just look at it now. It's at 26,000. Obviously, big difference, right? Big difference. So what does that mean? Should we be scared? Well, what happened in 2019? Well, 2019, as you guys know, we started recovering in a big way. You could argue that we went from 3,100 all the way up, right, to 14,000, and then came back down, and then we went all the way up to 69,000. So you could argue that we actually went from 3,100 to 69,000 in a straight line, right? Almost, but not that straight. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely the time to be bullish. You know, this is definitely not the time to be bearish. There's so many good things happening with Bitcoin right now, right? I just talked about Hong Kong and China opening up, which is absolutely huge. There's other metrics. For example, this, which is the hodler's growth rate. And this, you can see, correlates with the bottom of bear markets and the beginnings of bull markets. And that's exactly where we are right now. There's diminishing returns because, you know why? Every single cycle, we have more and more holders. In fact, we have over 75% of Bitcoin being held by long-term holders. So obviously the holders' growth rate is going to slow down over time, right? But essentially, we have hit bottom, we're recovering up. This is the bullish moment right before Bitcoin starts flipping upwards. Also, exchange supply on exchanges. I've been talking about this a lot, hammering this point. Lowest level in 6 years. 6 years, going all the way back to 2017 levels. And if this continues, we will see obviously drop to 2016, 2015, 2013, 2010 levels. Eventually, we will fall to a point where there's really little amount of Bitcoins left on exchanges, right? Like, this is honestly, this is important. These are important facts, important metrics to pay attention to. This is why it's important to be bullish, right? And this is why Bitcoin will climb up. The price will get back to previous highs and break it, right? And Hut 8, Sue Eunice, I've talked to her many times. She believes that Bitcoin can capture some of gold's market. And if so, $100,000 is right around the corner. It's going to come in no time. And this will definitely happen. Literally no one buys gold as investment. They buy gold as a jewelry or gold as, I don't know, inside electronic devices, but there's no young people that's buying gold as an investment, okay? Only Peter Schiff does, and maybe Robert Kiyosaki. But all the young people, they're looking for gains and digital representation of gold, digital store values like Bitcoin, right? So 100,000 is really just the beginning. It really is just the beginning, right? So Bitcoin hitting a 4-year low on volume, I would argue, is very bullish, along with all the supporting metrics that show that Bitcoin is getting ready. It's stagnant and maybe a little fuddish right now, but it is getting ready to move upwards in a big, big way. You definitely don't want to be out of the game right now. All right. Now, what's next? Avalanche. I got some Avalanche news. Avalanche is a popular I guess it's an L0 now. It used to be like an L1, EVM compatible L1, but they kind of changed it to L0 because now they have subnets, right? But anyways, Ethereum competitor, although EVM compatible, sees surge in daily transactions, active address in second quarter. That's fantastic. And there's some unique stuff about it because they do have L1s, okay, that's like, you know, part of Avalanche. For example, Beam, Mirrored Circle, right? Another L1 that's on top of Avalanche. DeFi Kingdoms have their DeFi Kingdoms chain, right? So, but case in point, they are L1 that's focused on games, right? So now they're onboarding a lot of cool games. It's definitely helping with a transaction count, right? So, and then there's something else like Dexalot, which is also another DEX that's coming on board, right? And they got an incentive of $3 million to build on Avalanche, right? So this makes sense. There's just a lot of stuff happening right now. So I like Avalanche quite a lot. I do. I think they're one of my favorite projects, favorite L0s, L1s out there. I think it's more like an L0 these days, but I think they have a lot of potential. So good for Avalanche. Also, another one that I am fond of is Polygon. Major enhancements. There, Sandeep is talking about this new pool token. Okay, that one token, while staked, can power multiple chains, including their ZK EVM chain, their native chain, and their Polygon 2.0 chain. So that's going to be revolutionary, and that's coming up. So I'm very excited about that as well. And the last thing, I saw this is no good, but we all knew it was coming. The SEC, Gary Gensler, sues this Los Angeles-based company called Impact Theory for selling $30 million in NFTs. It was an NFT security sale, according to SEC. They did it for fundraising reasons, and they were promising dividends and all that. So they got fined. They admitted no wrongdoing, but they had to pay $6 million in fines and remove the commission part or dividend part, right? So the SEC is going after NFT makers too. So a lot of projects, they fundraise through NFTs, not through tokens, because they know the SEC is watching. But now the SEC is going after NFT projects as well. So something to watch out for. All right. That is what I covered tonight. There's not a whole lot else going on. Let's do some Q&A. I'll tell you guys, when it comes to starting your own business, number one rule, don't have partners. Do it yourself. When you have 100% ownership, you don't have to worry about anything, especially being kicked out. So just friendly business advice there. Also, I have a lot to say about marriages in case you guys want to know more. Dark, I don't even know how to pronounce that, but super chat at $2. I appreciate it. What else? Scrolling up, let's see if I missed anything. Everyone goes to Japan for vacations. They have over tourism right now. Obviously, no one. Yeah, I actually do want to go to Japan as well. John says, "Don't fire yourself." Okay, I'll try not to. Let's see. All right, I think I caught up there. Jason Spears, thanks for keeping me entertained during this boring and frustrating bear market. No problem. I know it's boring sometimes. I mean, imagine me, okay? I have to make it entertaining and educational twice a day, every week. It's not an easy task. It's not. But you know what? It's what I believe in. This is what I believe in. So I will keep staying bullish and keep you guys entertained and educated. Eventually, we will get past this. We will see a new high. You guys will forget about this, and everyone will be happier. A lot of people seem to like my AMA idea on Saturdays. I think that I might try that this week. So on Saturday, I'm just going to have a general AMA. I'm not going to talk about crypto. I'll just answer any questions. I may actually ask you guys to submit questions ahead of time so then I can answer those questions as best as I can. I may do that. I may post it on YouTube as a post and put on Twitter, so that way I can get some questions ahead of time and prepare for it. Flamby, you're welcome. Me prep. BitBoy, drugs or SEC? You guys saw the press statement, right? Obviously it wasn't good. The press statement I mean, first of all, being kicked out of your own company sucks, right? It happened to Steve Jobs too. So it does happen when you start a company and you have partners, you have your shareholders and this and that, right? They could kick you out. So first of all, being kicked out of your own company sucks. Second of all, what they said is sad, if true. If he had a relapse, that's really hard. Obviously, addiction, there's many kind of addictions. And any kind of addiction is hard to overcome. So that's really sad if that happened, right? As for everything else that was said, you know what? I've been hearing things, and I do hear things, right? And there's a lot of things I've heard. Don't know if they're true. So I'm not going to speculate and talk about them, but I've heard a lot of stuff. I'll just leave it at that. Is it true that China's economy is collapsing? Yes, it is. Manufacturing is collapsing. Prices are collapsing. Real estate, especially commercial, collapsing. There's a lot of things collapsing in China. It's no good. Even tourism is collapsing. Crypto Chris asks, is it bad if my wife has a joint bank account with her boyfriend? Come on now. Come on. Oh, that's too much. Question 1, before you were George, did you know you were destined to be George? And question 2, do you know we're all going to be George too, asking for a friend? Answer number 1, no. And answer number 2, no, neither. I never wanted to go on YouTube. In fact, when I was growing up, YouTube didn't exist. I never wanted to be in front of a camera. Never, ever. I'm an introvert, so I don't like to be in front of a camera, in front of people. But it's what I got used to. What's your marriage advice? I've already said it this morning. I don't know how much I can, how else I could say it, but marriage is built on trust, right? And if you don't trust your partner 100%, then I don't know why you're married. And it's easier to build that trust and love, early on when you're younger, maybe more naive, but also when you're poor, because it's much harder to build that when you are rich, right? So that's number 1. Number 2 is, this whole sharing, because of trust, this whole sharing of bank accounts, I get if people have gone through divorces or been cheated on or got wiped out or whatever. I get that, right? But I would argue that there was something wrong to begin with. If you truly love each other and truly trust each other, why would you have separate bank accounts and share it divided 50-50? It makes no sense to me. It really doesn't. And if you do that, it shows you really don't have trust. You can have, separate accounts if you want to have some side money, save for a rainy day or for your toys or whatever, right? But don't hide it from your spouse. I don't get that either, right? Like, you can have it, but don't hide it. There's no point. If you're hiding it, then that means, again, there's distrust, and that does not lead to any good things, right? So, see, here's my marriage advice, right? And I get a lot of people saying, well, no, I've shared my, we had separate accounts for 40 years, 30 years, whatever. If it worked for you, great. But I still don't see. I think that just leads to resentment, because then people guess how much the other person has in their secret account and how much they're spending, right? And it's not fair if one person makes more than the other and they're splitting everything 50-50. I mean, it just leads to resentment. I've been married for a long time. Oof. Probably 14 years. Yeah, around there. Someone who has been to the divorce may want separate accounts. That I agree with. If you've been burned, right, I get it. You want to protect yourself. So I can get that. You know, I think that makes more sense, right? If you've been burned in some way, then yes, right? But if you're in a happy marriage, you love your significant other, there's never been a trust issue, right? I just don't see the need for that. Harmony One or Phantom at this point, Armando, I definitely go with Phantom. I'm not a fan of Harmony One anymore. Eduardo, thoughts on Joe, like Trader Joe? I think it's okay. I'm not excited about DEXs, to be honest. So, yeah. I don't have thoughts on Tenjum. Never used them before, so I can't. If China market is opening up, is Conflux goodbye? I've theorized that before, and I would say yes. Right now, surprisingly, in Hong Kong, they don't have Conflux as one of the coins that people can trade, but you got to figure that's going to be coming, right? Because it's one of their own. I'm actually quite surprised that they have not added that, but I think yeah. Max B says he slapped up Frankie Candle and hit AJ with a gut punch, made him cry in front of other staff. Max, where are you hearing that from? Are you making that up, or did you hear it from a legit source? Brianna, my wife says I need to stop buying crypto for now, but I'm trying to create generational wealth. Advice. Here's the thing, okay? You can't become wealthy by saving. You can only become wealthy by taking risks, okay? And all investments, arguably, are risks. So you could tell your wife that, exactly that. Hey, no one's going to get rich by saving. You get rich by taking risks and investing, right? It's as simple as that. Some people can't take it. They can't take any risks. And that's okay. As long as they're happy with their life, that's fine. But you can't get wealthy by taking no risk unless you're born into money, which, of course, you wouldn't be asking that question if you were born into money. You need a DCA on a young wife, not those old ones with huge body counts. Well, that is true. There's a correlation with divorce rate and body count. There's actually a huge correlation there. Chris, there's a time for that. There's a time for that. Right now, digging deep into these, what you call shit coins, there's no point to them. Okay. When the bull market's roaring, finding, a gem in the rough could be worth it. But right now, no, there's just not time for that. Sometimes you got to spend money to make money. I mean, you do. That's no question. Not sometimes. You have to. You have to. Or labor, right? You could put in the time to make money, but investing requires you to put in money to make money. That's why there's risk. How far do you think ETH could go this cycle? Very, very far. If Bitcoin could get to 200,000, ETH could get to at least 15,000. But maybe even higher. Maybe even higher. TV, I know you mentioned you're not in stock market. What about minor stocks? I dabbled into Mara, some of their call options, right? I think minor stocks, they will do well, obviously, when Bitcoin climbs higher, they will do well. When Bitcoin doesn't, they will not go anywhere. So it's all dependent on Bitcoin, really. What's your advice for a happy marriage? You know the number one thing I hear about wives complain? And I think this is true. And I think this is the problem with men in general. You know, these days, most men and women work, right? So it's not just one-sided. There are some women that are housewives, obviously, stay home, look after the kids, but majority of households, both people work. And of course, the salary may not be the same, but both work, right? And everyone has their own obligations. When they come home, you know, they do their thing. Maybe one cooks, one looks after the kids, one cleans. I don't know, whatever it may be, right? There's different obligations for both. You got to set those obligations, because I find the problem is for a lot of couples is they don't define it clearly, and then there's resentment. And I don't know. I think a lot of women complain about guys demanding too much of them, right? Sometimes I think that's BS, but sometimes I think it's true. I don't know. So I think it's just, you know, finding that compromise, right? To set clear expectations of like who's doing what, right? So it doesn't lead to resentment, doesn't lead to arguments, doesn't lead to fights, and then you can go on your merry way. It's really all there is to that. My wife used to work. Now she quit working and just wants to spend and gamble. Well, that's okay. I don't know how to comment to that. That just sounds like a bad combination. Bacon and eggs. I'm not going to repeat what you just said, but yeah. I clean, work, and cook. My wife plays tennis. It's a good compromise. We get along great. Well, as long as you accept that, Bob, then it's okay. It's okay. But a lot of husbands and wives will not accept that. It's always disagreements about who's doing what, who's not doing enough, who's doing too much, who wants this in return for that, you know. And sometimes you just have to give in too, right? You can't always be the person that's like, no, I'm not gonna do it. You're wrong. You know, you have to compromise. That's how it is. But sometimes one or both people in a marriage or relationship does not compromise, and it just leads to endless fights. And you know, it doesn't work out that way either. Is my milady the next Pepe? No, it certainly isn't. Well, I mean, in terms of a rug pull, maybe, I don't know. But it's certainly not gonna be at Pepe level. Did Pepe? Yeah, Pepe did not recover at all. All right, guys. After I got married, my wife's cooking made me gain 30 pounds in 3 months. Hey, that's on you. That's not on her. That means she's a great cook. So she fulfilled her end of the bargain. Now you gaining 30 pounds, well, that's not fulfilling your end. So that's not on her, that's on you, my man. It starts with an engagement ring, then a marriage ring, but it always ends with a suffer ring. I see what you did there. But yeah, I'm gonna say I don't agree. All right, let's conclude. Overall, you know what? Bitcoin is getting ready to pop. Trading volume is lowest in 4 years. This could be a scary thing, but this happened in 2019. Guess what happened in 2019? That was a terrific recovery year leading up to our 69,000 run, right? So there's many metrics that support this theory. So stay strong, my friends. Stay bullish. Do not get discouraged by the scary markets. We will get through this together. All right? Smash a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys tomorrow bright and early, 8:13 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right? Take care. Bye-bye.